today's video, we are going to go through some of the most profitable bosses in the game as of right now, which is going to be April of 2025. These are going to be the bosses that pay out stupidly high amounts of money, but are going to take a good amount of practice and time investment to learn the skills required to take them on. The reason I like to make these videos is one, because then I know where to focus my efforts on making money, but two, you guys get the exact same thing and you can use it as like a motivator to go ahead and grind those bosses. There's nothing better than a massive GP cash stack at the end of the grind to motivate you to spend the time working on actually figuring out how these bosses work. So for each boss, we'll talk about the actual GP per hour expected rates, which I'll actually be using a good amount of information from the PVME Discord to do this. So that'll be linked in the description as always. And then we'll also talk about what you can expect to get from the bosses and sort of how they work too. Before we do get started, I wanted to talk about today's sponsor. Before moving on, we have a returning sponsor to this channel of a product that I actually love and use a hell of a lot almost every day since the first time they supported the channel. And that is Raycon's everyday earbuds. Honestly, I use these literally every single day. For those of you that have been around the channel for a while, you'll know that I use earbuds for everything instead of a headset. And when I first received the Raycon everyday earbuds, I actually was incredibly impressed with the quality of them, which is why I'm happy they've returned to support the channel again. Their latest model is actually even better than ever. They have a 32-hour battery life and multi-point connectivity. This means that you can pair them with two devices at once, so you don't have to disconnect them from your PC to use them with your phone, and then from your phone to reuse them with your PC. These are also insanely fast to charge as well. If you charge them for 10 minutes, you can get 90 minutes of battery time. Perfect if you're like me and forget to plug them into charge all the time. Most importantly, the audio quality is brilliant, especially for the price point, because these come in at just half the price as other brands that have similar features. Honestly, everybody's heard of Raycon, and when I'd heard of them in the past, I always wondered if they were actually as good as people were saying. And they actually are. I genuinely do use them almost every single day, and I have zero problems with them whatsoever. And even better, if you want to grab a pair right now, you can actually get 20% off the entire site with their Mother's Day promotion. This is available until the 21st of April. All you have to do is use my link that'll be in the pinned comment or in the description. So to clear up a few things before we do get started, the actual GP per hour revenue rates I'll be taking again from the PVME Discord's boss revenue section. And for those of you that are wondering if you can actually trust this, you can, because I recently did my own version of checking the GP per hour at Vorkath and Zemmereagle, and their GP per hour rate was exactly spot on. I, of course, didn't match their rate because their kills per hour that they expect is insanely high, but I did the math and working out their kill times versus my kill times, how much money I made and how much money they made, and then including all the rares and stuff, and their GP per hour rate was spot on. Now, it's also worth mentioning that their GP per hour rate is based on insanely high kills per hour. Now, for anybody who frequents the PVME Discord and is at these kill rates, you might not think these are insanely high rates, but trust me, you guys are in the top like 0.1% of players. For the average player, yes, you are going to be looking at these as high kills per hour, but they are definitely rates you can chase and use as a motivator to get on that grind. However, I will also include my average kill time at these bosses, meaning that you can kind of gauge how I would be earning at these bosses as well. I'm not afraid to admit that I am behind the majority of these PVME times, in fact, probably all of them. But that's good, right? Because then it's a little bit more relatable for the average player. Or maybe that's me just coping with my kill times. Okay, so we're starting off with Raciel. Now, Raciel comes in at a whopping 120 million GP an hour, and this is the lowest GP per hour on this list, so you can see how high we're going to be going with this one. Now, Raciel is by all means not an easy boss, but once you have the necromancy gear required and you have the undead perks, so you have the perks on your gear and you have the undead ability and everything else like a Soul Amulet E and all that sort of stuff, you can actually consistently take this boss down pretty quick. Now, I'll be honest, this is probably the only boss on this list that I can actually consider myself getting close to the suggested kills per hour. Maybe not exactly on those, but maybe like 1 or 2 less. But PVME is saying at 40 kills per hour, you can expect 120 million GP. Now, of course, a lot of people are not going to be at this kill time of just over a minute, but it is definitely achievable by people who are willing to put in the time and effort to practice that rotation. Now, of course, the reason this boss offers such good value is for the armor of the first necromancer and, of course, the weapons as well. These are currently best in slot for necromancy, and I'm pretty sure they will stay that way for a decent amount of time. And so, of course, they will hold their value for the foreseeable future as well. So if you are looking to learn a boss, Raciel is definitely a really good one to put a bit of time into and getting those kill times down. Next up on this list, we have Raksha. I am actually super happy to see that Raksha is still in this list of very profitable bosses, being up there with one of my most killed bosses in the game. I have a lot of experience here. However, I am not actually up to par with the kill times that the PvMe is expecting here. They say that at 34 kills per hour, you can get around about 136 million GP per hour, which is insanely good considering how old this boss is. But of course, that is very fast kill times. Right now, my personal record is 1 minute 55 seconds, and I'd say that on average, I probably get about 2 minutes 5 seconds, 2 minutes 10 seconds would probably be my average kill time. So I wouldn't quite reach that, but I would probably be looking still just over 100 mil an hour, which is pretty damn nice to know. Of course, the big ticket items that you're going to be chasing here are going to be the codexes and the shadow spike. The codexes have a very high price on the greater ricochet and the greater chain. Those are actually pretty similar in price right now, with the greater ricochet being the highest ticket item. Then you have divertibility, which honestly is not a bad drop anymore. This used to be a terrible drop. If you saw this, it was like, oh, for God's sake, I could have had anything else and it would have been better. But it's actually pretty damn good, over 100 million GP now. And of course, the shadow spike is always a nice drop to grab too. In fact, this is better than divert and close to 200 mil. So again, I am super happy to see that Raksha is still on this list and is definitely making it up there in one of the most profitable bosses that you can solo. Here's something that a few years ago I never would have expected to be saying, but Telos is next on this list and is not actually at the top, which is crazy considering this boss reigned the absolute best moneymaker in the game for a hell of a long time. But there's actually bosses that make more than this that aren't just Zamorak these days. So Telos is next. Now, at 2,449% enrage, you can expect to be getting around about 140 million GP an hour. Now this is actually at very high kill speeds, being 20 kills an hour pretty much from the PvMe. I am nowhere near this. In fact, I am probably far below this. My average kill times are about 3 minutes 45, 3 minutes 50, and I am also not at 2,449% enrage. In fact, my highest enrage here is 1,026. So this is still a boss that I have yet to push to that enrage, and there's actually kind of less reason for me to do so now considering it is dropping down this list, which feels a little bit bad, but it is definitely something that I plan on doing in the future. While the Serengobbo still has demand, Telos will always still be up there in terms of a valuable boss to take on. However, this does only really seem worth doing at the 2,449% enrage, as this is the best drop chance that you can get. Below that, like doing regular streaks from 100% maybe to, I don't know, 500, like it used to be really valuable still, probably not overly worth it these days. Quick interruption to remind you guys to sub to the channel, especially if you are new around here, but also if you've been watching for a while, a ton of you guys that watch all the content still aren't subbed, so go and check that you are. This helps the channel out more than you can imagine. I appreciate it. Let's go back to the video. Next up, we have Zuk in hard mode. Now, Zuk in hard mode at 4.4 kills per hour, which is pretty damn quick, actually, is 170 million GP, according to PvMe. Now, I have only ever done one hard mode kill, and I know for a fact, of course, only having one kill, that if I went back, I would be nowhere near this kill rate. I just have very little interest in Zuk hard mode for some reason. But of course, if it is valuable, I will mention it here so that you guys know that if you are interested in it, it is definitely something that you can take on and make a good amount of money from. Of course, the things you're going to be looking to get from here is the weapon pieces for the EZK, which of course is the melee tier 95 two-handed weapon. I actually do believe at some point Zuk hard mode did reign as one of the highest money makers in the game, and now it even beats Telos off of this list, which is crazy to think about because Telos, it used to be #1 every single time I made this video. Okay, moving on. Next up, we have the boss that I recently tested myself, being Vorkath in hard mode. Now, Vorkath in hard mode, as of right now, PvMe says that it is around about 209, nearly 210 million GP every hour. This is doing it at 25.7 kills an hour. Now, let me tell you, 25.7 kills an hour at Vorkath hard mode is ridiculously hard to get. This is This is an insane kill time, and it is definitely one that a lot of people are going to struggle to hit. I myself am only around about 3 minutes and 30 seconds on average, I'll be honest. Like, it's really not looking that great for me here in comparison to this kill time. But to hit the suggested kills per hour here, you are going to be looking at doing some super high level, high ceiling PVM. Not to mention, very likely using macros to gear switch and weapon spec and efficiently hybrid and all that sort of stuff, which of course I would never recommend doing because it's just never worth the risk of actually doing that just to make a little bit of extra GP. When I tested this, Volkath Hard mode was the one where the PVME was spot on with the GP per hour, so you can definitely be getting this. 100% you can be, which is crazy. Volkath is a boss that not a lot of people want to go out and chase, but the drops here are insanely good. The rares here that you're going to be chasing is the Volkath Scale and the Invoke Lord of Bones Incantation Codex, and then you also have the spikes as well, which are insanely expensive too. Next, we have the Sanctum of Rebirth. PVME is saying this is around about 230 million, right, per hour if you're using anything except ranged, and if you're using ranged, then 260 million GP an hour, even over that, 266. Now, this is at 8 kills per hour when you're using not ranged, but if you are using ranged, then around about 9.2, because ranged is busted, of course, and this is way better at everything in the game right now. Jagex, please buff magic. But with that, you can be expecting 230 mil an hour, which is insane. Of course, the reason for this is the Shard of Genesis is from the Sanctum of Rebirth and is still incredibly expensive, and is definitely something that is in high demand by a lot of players. In fact, I need a few of these myself, so hopefully in my next loot video we will get a couple, please, Jagex, maybe like loads of them, and then I'll be able to just use them myself. I need to practice this boss a lot, so the video will be helpful for that. But this right now is the second most profitable boss that you can solo in this game, and is insanely worth it. It takes a lot of practice to get this down, and it really is a difficult boss to take on, but I love it. I think it is one of the best designed bosses in the game, if not the best designed boss in the game, to be honest, and it is super fun, super difficult, but super worth it. I wonder how many people just assumed Zamorak was going to be the last boss on this list at the highest GP. Well, you were wrong. No, I'm kidding. Zamorak is clearly the highest GP per hour boss in the game, and this is probably not much surprise to most people. Now, to get the highest GP in the game, though, it's not going to be easy. You're not killing Zamorak at 100% enrage. No. At 100% enrage, Zamorak doesn't even contend with this list. Right now, PVME is saying it's about 80 million GP an hour. Not that much, let's be honest. However, once you can do 2000% enrage, and you can get 9 kills per hour here, you are looking at over 300 million GP. Now, I will just quickly verify that this does say this doesn't include bad luck mitigation, so this does, of course, change and depend on that. And I do believe there is an optimal way to farm this boss for the actual rare drops. You do it at a certain enrage, and then you change up to another one once you've got your bad luck mitigation. Someone will have to comment that in the comments if you can, if you know how that works, because I haven't really done this boss for a hell of a long time. It's a boss that I've kind of neglected more than I probably should have done, and it is a boss that is on my radar for getting improved at, and definitely climbing my solo enrage here too. Never expect to do 2000 enrage, really. It's probably not going to happen, but it's definitely one that I want to improve at. As for the kills per hour here, again, it doesn't even matter. I can't do 2000% enrage, so I can't even come close to that anyway. But 9 kills per hour, 316 mil is what PVME is saying, and of course, what you're chasing here is the Bow of the Last Guardian pieces. They are still very high in demand. Range is still the most optimal and best in slot combat style in the game, so the demand for these is not going to be dropping until that changes, and even then I highly doubt it is going to drop very much, and so Zamorak will probably be the top dog in this list for the foreseeable future. If you're a high level PVMer and you haven't got into high end range Zam yet, I think it's probably the best place to focus your efforts. There you go. There is the most profitable bosses in the game right now that you are able to also solo as well. Now, there's other bosses that I could have mentioned, like AOD and Solak and all these sort of things, but they're done in a group optimally, and I wanted to include ones that you can solo, and also they don't really compete all that much anyway, so you're not really missing anything. Solak is 150 mil in a 4-man, and AOD is 170 mil in a 4-man as well. I hope this video helped you out. If it did, leave a like, sub to the channel if you are new, and don't forget to check out the link in the pinned comment or in the description to check out the Raycon earbuds. Thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it, and I'll catch you all in the next one. See you later, guys. Bye.